You see him walking? Oh my God.
Good evening, my fellow Americans. Tonight, I'd like to talk to you about where we are as we mark 1 year since everything stopped because of this pandemic. A year ago, we were hit with a virus that was met with silence and spread unchecked. Denials for days, weeks, then months. That led to more deaths, more infections, more stress, and more loneliness. Photos and videos from 2019 feel like they were taken in another era. The last vacation, the last birthday with friends, the last holiday with extended family. While it was different for everyone, we all lost something. A collective suffering, a collective sacrifice. A year filled with the loss of life and the loss of living for all of us. But in the loss, we saw how much there was to gain in appreciation, respect, and gratitude.
I don't have an issue with the sentiment here, but holy shit, Obama and his consequences for American political discourse have been a disaster for the human race, okay? Because the flowery, like the flowery purple prose gets so tiring sometimes. Oh my God. Obama was super charismatic, so I think he can nail it most of the time, but it's like, oh my God, what I would give for a straight shooter, Just kabow, people dead, it's bad. Instead we come out here, the soul of this nation was struck down by the cataclysmic emergence of a national zeitgeist. The likes of it, it's like, oh, okay. Whew.
Finding light in the darkness is a very American thing to do. In fact, it may be the most American thing we do.
Actually, I think the most American thing you can do is finding dark and light, Like, it's the most privileged motherfuckers in the universe. Nobody dares step to us. And anytime anything even remotely bad happens, we find an excuse to bomb some other country, okay? But listen, if there was anything that is the opposite of finding light in darkness, it was what happened after 9/11, okay? Just gotta say, man, that sucked. What if we kill like 1 million people in Iraq, That'd bring them back.
And that's what we've done. We've seen frontline and essential workers risking their lives, sometimes losing them, to save and help others. Researchers and scientists racing for a vaccine. And so many of you, as Hemingway wrote, being strong in all the broken places. I know it's been hard. I truly know. As I've told you before, I carry a card in my pocket with the number of Americans who have died from COVID to date. It's on the back of my schedule. As of now, total deaths in America, 527,726. That's more deaths than in World War I, World War II, the Vietnam War, and 9/11 combined.
When he's not, doing work, he just sits there with a little checkbook and a pen, and he just marks them down as they die. One, little Timmy, Samantha, check it out. What is this for? A fucking phylactery?
There were husbands, wives, sons and daughters, grandparents, friends, neighbors, young and old. They leave behind loved ones, unable to truly grieve or to heal, even to have a funeral. But I'm also thinking about everyone else who lost this past year to natural causes, by cruel fate of accident or other disease. They too died alone. They too leave behind loved ones who are hurting badly. You've often heard me say before, I talk about the longest walk any parent can make.
We haven't said anything
is up
so
a short
far.
flight of stairs to his child's bedroom to say, I'm sorry, I lost my job. Can't be here anymore. Like my dad told me when he lost his job in Scranton. So many of you have had to make that same walk this past year. You lost your job. You closed your business. Facing eviction, homelessness, hunger.
What's this even supposed to be about, Vosh? Look, I sympathize with the sentiment here. The reason we're hearing about this the way we are right now is because he's trying to define himself in stark contrast to Trump, who didn't give a fuck about the virus and didn't give a fuck about people dying. So, look, maybe this is good for some people, okay? Maybe some people like hearing Biden say stuff like that, and that's cool, and whatever. But for me, it's very frustrating because it seems like the only possible reason a person could do this is for political points. Pretty transparently at that, too. Unless this conference has something to do with, like, vaccine distribution or something like that, it really does just seem like a, you know, hey, I care more than he did kind of thing. My parents like shit like this. I know they do. You know, maybe I'm being a little bit biased. Wasn't that a little bit about, wasn't that kind of what the fireside talks were like as well with Delano Roosevelt, you know? He would do those radio talks about how America was going to pick itself back up and come together, and people thought positively of that. Maybe people like that kind of stuff. Like, I don't know. It makes me cynical because it's like, oh, okay, well, thank you. We get that your campaign manager told you to tell people that you care about this, but yeah.
A loss of control. Maybe worst of all, a loss of hope. Watching a generation of children who may be set back up to a year or more because they've not been in school because of their loss of learning.
Dude, I feel so bad for the kids right now, okay? Look, me and a lot of the people in chat, okay? Look, quarantine sucks, but at least a lot of us are adults, okay? So, like, say you miss the 31st year of your life, okay? For me, I lost my 26th, okay? To the pandemic. And that sucks. I'm not saying it doesn't. But if you're like 14, that means so much more. Like that is so much more than being an adult. Proportionally, it's just so much more of a hit, you know?
It's the details of life that matter the most. And we miss those details. The big details and the small moments. Weddings, birthdays, graduations, all the things that needed to happen, but didn't. The first date, the family reunions, the Sunday night rituals. It's all has exacted a terrible cost on the psyche of so many of us. For we are fundamentally a people who want to be with others, to talk, to laugh, to hug, to hold one another. But this virus has kept us apart. Grandparents haven't seen their children or grandchildren. Parents haven't seen their kids. Kids haven't seen their friends. The things we used to do that always filled us with joy have become things we couldn't do and broke our hearts. Too often, we've turned against one another. A mask, the easiest thing to do to save lives. Sometimes it divides us. States pitted against one another instead of working with each other. Vicious hate crimes against Asian Americans who've been attacked, harassed, blamed, and scapegoated. At this very moment, so many of them are fellow Americans. They're on the front lines of this pandemic trying to save lives. And still, they're forced to live in fear for their lives just walking down streets in America.
I wonder how much stuff like this even works at its, you know, apparent goals. When it comes to getting people to wear masks, for example. I feel like at this point, I mean this far into the pandemic, the only people who aren't wearing masks are going to be people who have already been gripped by the Republican Party, you know? Like, I feel like the default position is respecting masks at this point, and the only people who won't be doing that are people who language like this can't reach. So I'm not entirely sure who it's for. I actually don't know what type of language would work in getting those people over. I genuinely don't even know. It would be I really wish that I could see what a more aggressive Democratic Party would look like, you know? Like, like, can you imagine if Biden was like an angry populist fucking grandpa and he was yelling about how like you know, like the elites in the Republican Party have deluded their followers into believing that masks are bad for them, that they've kowtowed to like a Republican agenda, that they like something like that, you know, a little more aggressive, a little more angry. I don't know if that'd be more or less effective. I'd like to believe it'd be more effective, that aggression and a dismissal of the bipartisanship aesthetic would be better, but I genuinely do not know. Wouldn't a leftist populist be better? Well, I mean, I don't even think wearing a mask should be a left or right issue, frankly. It is, unfortunately, but it really, really shouldn't be, you know? It's that should not be the political issue we're fighting over. But it is.
It's wrong, it's un-American, and it must stop. Look, we know what we need to do to beat this virus. Tell the truth.
Oh.
Follow the scientists and the science. Work together. Put trust and faith in our government to fulfill its most important function, which is protecting the American people. No function more important.
I don't like
this at all.
You
need to remember, the government isn't some foreign force in a distant capital. No, it's us, all of us. We, the people.
Yeah, I really, really, really don't like this rhetoric. Wow. This whole trust in the science thing, it doesn't work with Republicans. And especially not that, what is this? We're not some distant foreign capital. It's all of us. That is not how the people who aren't currently wearing masks feel. There has to be some other approach, because I feel like if I was a Republican, I would be watching this and I would be doubling down on all of my positions, you know? Like, from my perspective, this guy's like an adrenochrome chugging, Hillary Clinton worshipping Satanist pedophile. And I'd be watching this guy, Biden, you know, and I'd be thinking, oh, yeah, of course he's telling me to have faith in the masks. Yeah, replace God with the state, why don't you? Yeah, of course he's saying he's not some distant capital. Yeah, he doesn't need to be. He's already taken control of the Washington. He used to be from Beijing, or some crazy shit like that, you know? How to reach the unreachable? Well, I think what Biden could benefit from, I think what Democrats could benefit from massively, would be to adjust their rhetoric on masks, okay? Because this is the rhetoric they keep using. It's crazy to me. They're like, we need to do this for as long as we need to do this. Trust in us, trust in the science. This does not move conservatives, okay? It doesn't, all right? I think what would be more effective would probably be like a sort of tough love, realistic timeline for how long it would take for this to get done. Hey, listen, the faster we get rid of this, the faster we can all go back to not wearing masks. I don't like wearing them. I bet you don't either, but we need to. It's a civic duty. We need to adopt it because the alternative is an interminable plague that will continue to kill us until we find a way to deal with it elsewise, which is unacceptable and would cost us many millions more lives. Something like that, you know? A little punch here, maybe. Again, it's hard to know, really, and I don't even know how reliably Pew Research polling can even tell you what's effective or not, but there have to be solutions to this sort of things. Hey, it looks like the website's freezing up a little bit. That's okay. We prepared a backup. Hello, Twitch chat.
For you and I, that America thrives when we give our hearts, when we turn our hands to common purpose. Mm-hmm. And right now, my friends, we're doing just that.
There we go.
And I have to say, as your president, I'm grateful to you. Last summer, I was in Philadelphia and I met a small business owner, a woman. I asked her, I said, what do you need most? Never forget what she said to me. She said, looking me in the eye, she said, I just want the truth. The truth. Just tell me the truth.
Really?
Think of that.
That's what we got?
My fellow Americans, you're owed nothing less than...
Well, that's very convenient for the Biden administration because getting the American people money takes a bit of work, but telling them the truth, at least in this regard, doesn't. You know, that's the easy one. I went up to a starving homeless family in the streets of Detroit, and I asked them, what do you want from the American government? They looked at me right in the eyes, and they said, the truth. It's like, all right, maybe.
Truth. And for all of you asking,
how
when
cynical?
things will get back to normal, here is the truth. The only way to get our lives back, to get our economy back on track, is to beat the virus. You've been hearing me say that for while I was running and the last 50 days I've been president. But this is one of the most complex operations we've ever undertaken as a nation in a long time. That's why I'm using every power I have as President of the United States to put us on a war footing to get the job done. Sounds like hyperbole, but I mean it, a war footing.
War footing.
And thank God we're making some real progress now. In my first full day in office, I outlined for you a comprehensive strategy to beat this pandemic. We've spent every day since attempting to carry it out.
Yeah, except for the parliamentarian, you know? The parliamentarian, the Senate parliamentarian, has an advisory role. And Biden was like, you know, if she says we can't do the $15 an hour minimum wage as part of the COVID stimulus bill, I don't know. It wouldn't have gotten through Joe Manchin anyway, but God, I wish the Democratic Party put more effort into blaming the people most responsible for this government's rot.
2 months ago, this country didn't have nearly enough vaccine supply to vaccinate all or ever near all of the American public. But soon we will. We've been working with vaccine manufacturers, Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, to manufacture and purchase hundreds of millions of doses of these 3 safe, effective vaccines. And now, at the direction and with the assistance of my administration, Johnson & Johnson is working together with a competitor, Merck, to speed up and increase the capacity to manufacture new Johnson & Johnson vaccine, which is one shot. In fact, just yesterday, I announced.
From what I understand, a little bit of good news, American vaccine distribution is actually going decently well, which is pretty nice. We're actually getting it rolled out at a pretty decent pace. We're talking about, fully vaccinated. I mean, it depends, of course, on the state, but most of the states range from 20 to 25% of their population having received at least one dose. The second one a few weeks later. It's better than nothing, certainly. What's the full distribution? How many shots have been given? About 100 million so far. About a little more than 2 million shots a day, which,
announced, and I met with the CEOs of both companies. I announced our plan to buy an additional 100 million doses of Johnson & Johnson vaccines. These 2 companies, competitors, have come together for the good of the nation, and they should be applauded for it. It's truly a national effort, just like we saw during World War II. Now, because of all the work we've done, we'll have enough vaccine supply for all adults in America by the end of May. That's months ahead of schedule. And we're mobilizing thousands of vaccinators to put the vaccine in one's arm, calling active duty military, FEMA, retired doctors and nurses, administrators, and those to administer the shots. And we've been creating more places to get the shots. We've made it possible for you to get a vaccine at nearly any one of 10,000 pharmacies across the country, just like you get your flu shot. We're also working with governors and mayors in red states and blue states to set up and support nearly 600 federally supported vaccination centers that administers hundreds of thousands of shots per day. You can drive up to a stadium or a large parking lot, get your shot, never leave your car, and drive home in less than an hour. We've been sending vaccines to hundreds of community health centers all across America, located in underserved areas. And we've been deploying, and we will deploy more, mobile vehicles and pop-up clinics to meet you where you live so those who are least able to get the vaccine are able to get it. We continue to work on making at-home testing available. And we've been focused on serving people in the hardest-hit communities of this pandemic, Black, Latino, Native American, and rural communities. So what does all this add up to?
Oh, I am the serfs. Don't worry.
When I took office 50 days ago, only 8% of the Americans, after months, only 8% of those over the age of 65 had gotten their first vaccination. Today, that number is 65%. Just 14% of Americans over the age of 75 50 days ago had gotten their first shot. Today, that number is well over 70%. With new guidance from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, that came out on Monday, it means simply this: millions and millions of grandparents who went months without being able to hug their grandkids can now do so. And the more people are fully vaccinated, the CD will continue to provide additional guidance on what you can do in the workplace, places of worship with your friends, as well as travel. When I came into office, you may recall,
that helps a little.
I set a goal that many of you said was kind of way over the top. I said I intended to get 100 million shots in people's arms in my first 100 days in office.
That's a bit better.
Tonight, I can say we're not only going to meet that goal, we're going to beat that goal, because we've actually on track to reach this goal of 100 million shots in arms on my 60th day in office. No other country in the world has done this. None. Now, I want to talk about the next steps we're thinking about. First, tonight, I'm announcing that I will direct all states, tribes, and territories to make all adults, people 18 and over, eligible to be vaccinated no later than May 1.
Oh.
Let me say that again.
Hey.
All adult Americans will be eligible to get a vaccine no later than May 1.
Hey, I'll fight you all for it, huh? No way they'll
That's
have
much
enough
earlier
shots,
than
okay?
expected.
We'll have to battle to the death,
Let me be clear.
Thunderdome for it.
That doesn't mean everyone's going to have that shot
No,
immediately.
no, I'll
but it
get
means
it.
you'll be able to get in line beginning May 1.
I'll get to the front
Every
line.
adult will be eligible to get their shot. And to do this,
I'm going to win.
we're going to go from 1 million shots a day that I promised in December, before I was sworn in, to beating our current pace of 2 million shots a day, outpacing the rest of the world. Secondly, at the time when every adult is eligible in May, we will launch, with our partners, new tools to make it easier for you to find the vaccine and where to get the shot, including a new website that will help you first find the place to get vaccinated and the one nearest you. No more searching day and night for an appointment for you and your loved ones. Thirdly, with the passage of the American Rescue Plan, and I thank again the House and Senate for passing it, and my announcement last month of a plan to vaccinate teachers and school staff, including bus drivers, we can accelerate massive nationwide effort to reopen our schools safely and meet my goal that I stated at the same time, about 100 million shots, of opening a majority of K through 8 schools in my first 100 days in office. This is going to be the #1 priority of my new Secretary of Education, Miguel Cardona. Fourth, in the coming weeks, we will issue further guidance on what you can and cannot do once fully vaccinated, to lessen the confusion, to
I can
keep
do whatever
people
the fuck
safe,
I want, thank you.
and encourage more people to get vaccinated. And finally, fifth, and maybe most importantly, I promise I will do everything in my power. I will not relent until we beat this virus. But I need you, the American people. I need you. I need every American to do their part. And that's not hyperbole. I need you. I need you to get vaccinated when it's your turn and when you can find an opportunity. And to help your family
Huh? Oh, whoops, sorry.
as well. Because here's the point. If we do all this, if we do our part, if we do this together, by July the 4th, there's a good chance you, your families and friends we'll be able to get together in your backyard or in your neighborhood and have a cookout and a barbecue and celebrate Independence Day.
Absolutely.
That doesn't mean large events.
I fucking
with
love
lots of
the
people
4th of
together,
July.
But it does mean
That's why I care
small
about
groups
this.
We'll be able to get together. After this long, hard year, that will make this Independence Day something truly special, where we not only mark our independence as a nation, but we begin to mark our independence from this virus.
Yeah, everyone has to go back to family events. Sorry,
to
guys.
get there, we can't let our guard down. This fight is far from over. As I told the woman in Pennsylvania, I'll tell you the truth. A July 4th with your loved ones is the goal. But a lot can happen. Conditions can change. The scientists have made clear that things may get worse again as new variants of the virus spread. We've got work to do to ensure that everyone has confidence in the safety and effectiveness of all 3 vaccines. So my message to you is this.
Oh, shit, they only
Listen
have 3.
to Dr. Fauci, one of the most distinguished and trusted voices in the world. He's assured us the vaccines are safe. They underwent rigorous scientific review. I know they're safe. Vice President Harris and I know they're safe. That's why we got the vaccine publicly in front of cameras, so for the world to see, so you could see us do it.
That's why we got it done in front of cameras. So you can see us do it, dummy. This is fucking Tim and Eric sketch. All right, Pigeon. Pigeon, no. Sorry, what? You can watch, okay? I can guess what he's going to say.
The second gentleman also got vaccinated. Talk to your family, friends, your neighbors, the people you know best who've gotten the vaccine. We need everyone to get vaccinated. We need everyone to keep washing their hands, stay socially distanced, and keep wearing the mask as recommended by the CDC. Because even if we devote every resource we have, beating this virus and getting back to normal depends on national unity. And national unity isn't just how politics and politicians vote in Washington, or what the loudest voices say on cable or online. Unity is what we do together as fellow Americans. Because if we don't stay vigilant and the conditions change, then we may have to reinstate restrictions to get back on track. And please, we don't want to do that again. We've made so much progress. This is not the time to let up.
All right.
Just as we were emerging from a dark winter into a hopeful spring and summer is not the time to not stick with the rules. I'll close with this. We've lost so much over the last year. We've lost family and friends. We've lost businesses.
We lost Bernie Sanders' presidential viability.
We've lost time with each other. And our children have lost so much time with their friends, time with their schools. No graduation ceremonies this spring. No graduations from college, high school, moving up ceremonies. You know, and there's something else we lost. We lost faith in whether our government and our democracy can deliver on really hard things for the American people.
Which we then assuaged the American public on by managing to get exactly 0 Republican votes on the American Rescue Plan by dropping the $15 an hour minimum wage provision, and by I guess sort of quietly no longer talking about student debt relief and what's the other big one? The public option, you know? Well, we'll see. We'll see. Not feeling optimistic, but we'll see. I care more about the public option, by the way. People talk a lot about the student debt relief. I think a large part because a lot of the loudest lefties online are college student age. I think that if we're going to push on anything, like really fucking push on it, the public option is the way to go. Because that is a big, big, big deal that we need to focus on.
But as I stand here tonight, we're proving once again.
Oh yeah, the 2,000 check, 1,400 plus 600.
Probably tired of hearing me say it. I say it to foreign leaders and domestic alike. It's never, ever a good bet to bet against the American people. America is coming back. The development, manufacture, and distribution of vaccines in record time is a true miracle of science. It's one of the most extraordinary achievements any country has ever accomplished. And we also just saw the Perseverance rover land on Mars. Stunning images of our dreams that are now a reality. Another example of the extraordinary American ingenuity, commitment, and belief in science and one another. And today, I signed into law the American Rescue Plan, an historic piece of legislation.
It is
It
good.
delivers immediate relief
does
to
good
millions
stuff.
of people. Includes $1,400 in direct rescue checks, payments. That means a typical family of four earning about $110,000 will get checks for $5,600 deposited if they have direct deposit or in a check, a treasury check.
That's pretty
It
good.
extends unemployment benefits. It helps small businesses. It lowers health care premiums for many. It provides food and nutrition, keeps families in their homes. And it will cut child poverty in this country in half.
That's pretty
according to the
good.
experts. And it funds all the steps I've just described to beat the virus and create millions of jobs. In the coming weeks and months, I'll be traveling along with the First Lady, the Vice President, the Second Gentleman, members of my cabinet, to speak directly to you, to tell you the truth about how the American Rescue Plan meets the moment. And if it fails at any pace, I will acknowledge that it failed, but it will not. About how after long, dark years, one whole year, there is hope and light of better days ahead. If we all do our part, this country will be vaccinated soon. Our economy will be on the mend. Our kids will be back in school. And we'll have proven once again that this country can do anything. Hard things.
Have we
big
done it?
things, important things.
We gotten the speech we wanted? I think
A
we kind of
year
got
ago,
it, didn't we? Yeah, it's
No
about
one could have
over.
imagined what we were about to go through. But now, we're coming through it. And it's a shared experience that binds us together as a nation. We are bound together by the loss and the pain of the days that have gone by. We're also bound together by the hope and the possibilities of the days in front of us. My fervent prayer for our country is that after all we've been through, we'll come together as one people, one nation, one America. I believe we can, and we will. We're seizing this moment, and history, I believe, will record. We faced and overcame one of the toughest and darkest periods in this nation's history, darkest we've ever known. I promise you, we'll come out stronger with a renewed faith in ourselves, a renewed commitment to one another, to our communities, and to our country. This is the United States of America. And there's nothing, from the bottom of my heart, I believe this, there's nothing we can't do when we do it together. So God bless you all. And please, God, give solace to all those people who lost someone. And may God protect our troops. Thank you for taking the time to listen.
Okay.
Forward to seeing you.
President Biden, do you consider this a new phase of the pandemic?
Okay. So, look, the reason why I get really cynical about shit like this is in large part because I think that a lot of broader political discourse is designed to distract people from real issues. Conservatives are masters of this. They are absolute masters of this. Nobody else even comes close, really. There are Republican congressmen talking about 1984 Dr. Seuss censorship because a publishing company decided to retract publishing of a couple of their books. I mean, but there are going to be people who lifelong vote for Republicans because of the Dr. Seuss censorship debacle, okay? Republicans are experts at getting people to care about shit that absolutely and objectively does not matter, lying if they need to, and then just running with it. And there is an equivalent to this on the Democrat side, and it's not as sinister, not even close really, but it is still a problem. And it's this sort of virtue signally optimism, this sort of reduction of political engagement to feelings and to, you know, attitudes and emotions. And this is, I really think that Obama kind of set us down a really bad path with this, because he did this so much, and he was such a good orator too that he could get away with it for the most part. But it's about appealing to things like hope and virtue and esteem and togetherness and camaraderie, and you obfuscate everything material with this blanket of flowery language. And I mean, what did we actually get from this speech? Most of it was showing the world that Biden cares that COVID exists, which, I mean, great, better than not caring that it exists, I suppose. But it's not, I mean, okay, it really is sort of optical engagement at the expense of, or at least it can be at the expense of, like, real political issues, you know? I want people to be laser focused on what's actually happening, policies and bills and laws. That's what I want more than anything else, for people to be razor sharp focused on that specifically, on that collection of issues. But often we get pulled away from that, you know? However, Biden also does good stuff. I mean, if you watch my channel, I pride myself on criticizing liberalism in ways that I feel are accurate. There are a lot of lefties who will hate Biden and everything that Biden does exclusively because Biden is the one who's doing it. But if it was Bernie Sanders who cut child poverty in half, they would be soy-facing and clapping so hard that their wrists break. I try to be a little bit less, partisan than that. If a thing happens that's good, then it's good, and there are parts of what Biden has done that are good. Though, to be fair, when you're following up Trump's presidency, it's pretty easy to look like a good guy in comparison. I mean, okay, you know. And a lot of the good stuff that he's done has also been quickly undoing stuff that Trump did through executive action, which, again, okay, this is like the lowest bar. This is the easiest it gets, you know. So we'll see. We'll see.